If you're joining us, my name is Gavin Hill. With me today is Tammy Moskites, Venafi CISO and CIO. We're discussing the changing role of the CISO. Tammy, thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So Tammy, how has the transition been for you moving from a purchaser of security software to working at a security vendor like Venafi?
That's a very interesting question, and a lot of people ask me that. It's different in the sense that I get to actually talk about a product that I'm passionate about. Venafi is a product I've used in my last two roles, and I sat on the board of Venafi for 3 years prior to joining. Venafi has a unique perspective on keys and certificates and attacks on trust that I never saw in any of the other security vendors. So the move itself was exciting for me, and it gives me an opportunity to help multiple organizations and not just the one I'm working for. But if you look at it from a big picture perspective, my job as a CISO and CIO really hasn't changed all that much in the other hat. I'm still securing and protecting our organization. I'm focusing on doing the right things right. And so the things I do every single day is just much smaller scope. But I get the excitement about talking about a product I'm passionate about.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that feedback. I know you mentioned in a previous podcast the role of the CISO and the CIO changing, and we talked a little bit also about how keys and certificates are becoming more of a topic from a security perspective compared to operational. Mm-hmm. Was that something also one of the drivers as to why you made the switch from being a purchaser of security software to vendor?
Oh, absolutely. The attacks on trust is something I'm so passionate about. It's a hidden spot in the security profile that security officers are used to looking at. They're so looking at this advanced persistent threat activity when they forget that one of the biggest threats coming into their environment is trusted encrypted traffic that they don't know about that's not good. And it's great being able to go out and talk to CISOs and talk to CIOs across the globe and sharing this information with them.
And there are some changes in that. I know that you're working on, you're working right now putting together a white paper on SANS 20 mapping related back to keys and certificates. So there has been some changes with regard to critical controls. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, the SANS critical security controls is something that I'm extremely passionate about as well. I've been using that to measure the security profile of my organizations for several years. The latest version of the SANS critical security controls, 17 specifically, data protection, used to be around DLP, and now several sub-controls underneath it have been added around keys, certificates, encryption. It's very exciting to see that the awareness is there and that this is a problem. And I think that security officers are going to have to take the time to really look at it. You'll hear more about it when I'll do a blog later this year on CSCs, and we'll be co-authoring a white paper.
Well, excellent. Again, Tammy, thank you for your time and valuable insight on this topic. Once again, very valuable. Join us in the remaining podcasts on the Venafi CISO podcast series. Tammy, thank you.
Thanks for having me.